There's Daf Yomi Yerushalmi Kilayim. In the article Oath for other edition, we're on Daf Yud Beis and Lav Mamish at the top of Rebbe Zira. And in the Vilna, we are also at the top, but not Mamish, Rebbe Zira, Rebbe Abuna, in the name, on Zayin Amid Aleph. In our Mishnah, we said that Pishta, flax, is now, before we had said that 120, yesterday we learned was Zirone Gino, which you need far fewer to plant in a base than grain. So then you have the shear is not a rova on base but 1/24 of what it takes to plant Zirone Gino in the field, in that base saw. So it comes out that it's a big chumrah by Zorni, and the Gemara to discuss whether it's chatzi kav kabayim, and kabayim could work both ways. A kitzur ma'isa, the idea was that in certain things where it takes very few seeds to plant a base saw, the proportion is not a rova for a base saw, but 1/24 of what it takes of those seeds to plant a base saw. And I'm safer in Bo Basra, be the sheish. I wrote that this is it's like a davar chashuv by Bittel. Rambam Shita is that davar chashuv could be the Raisa. I forget where it says that, but this is a davar chashuv. If he learned African Kilayim, this could be a davar chashuv. 1/24 is considered to be a davar chashuv, and it's not batel. So we have again everything is based on Marasayin, and 1/24 of the Zorni Gina is to be significant, even though it's less than a rova for a base saw. Now, by Pishton, it was the opposite. Pishton takes lots and lots and lots of seeds to plant the base saw. So therefore, by Pishton, we had a kula. Pishton mitzvahs echon mistim arba v'nefel base saw, which is much more than a normal rova, because since you need a lot of Pishton seeds to plant the base saw, it's 1/24 of the seeds of Pishton is much more than a rova of a base saw. Okay, so by Zorakino, it's less. By Pishton, it's more. It's a chumrah. By Pishton, it's a kula. So now the Gemara says, okay, fine. What is the shear? So Rabbi Zira, Rabbi Avuna B'Shem Avuna Chanamar anti shakabin. Anytime the amount it takes to plant a base saw is up to 9 kav, we go of seed. We a rova. The proportion means a rova of a base saw. It takes more than 9 kav of seed to plant the base saw, and that's the case by Pishton. So then you go after 1/24, and it's which is considerably more than a rova. Then the Charona Amar. So what one opinion was that it's 9 kabin. Charona Amar ad shmona. Right, which is more of obviously a chumrah, right? Up to I shouldn't say chumrah, it's a kula. Up to 8 kav, the shear is a rova. More than 8 kav, the shear is 1/24. Okay, that is he's ready to make a one at 8 kav. Okay, tisha vasora maushit starfu. Now, the what about 9 and 10? Do they join together, not join together? So the way Reb Chaim explains this a minute which requires 9 kav to plant in a base ha'ah, where the halacha is still a rova, up to 9 kav. And once it gets to 10, it's like pishton. Now they get mixed up with each other, right? In the grain, half of the rova is from the 9, but half of the rova, half of the measures got mixed up is the portion is a rova beisah, half of it is the portion 1/24 of the nofel. So do they join together? to aser, even even though the shear is not equal. So the Gemara says, Isachame, come see. Let's try and bring a proof. Tisha, I don't know if it marks it, said Isachame, and the Yerushalmi is like Toshma and the Bavli. Right, so Isachame, come and see. Tashma, come and hear. That's interesting chiluk between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. So Isachame, Tisha v'shloshim mitztarfin. So if you have uh, something which takes 9 kav to plant the Beisah. So it takes 3 kav to plant the Beisah. They join together, right? To Aser in a Rova, even though they're very distant in their measure. This takes 3 kav and this takes 9 kav. But both of them we go by a Rova. So Tisha Aser Lo Kolshkein, should 9 and 10 not join together? So even though, which is an interesting thing, because their din is not the same. You've already jumped a category, right? From 9, where to go after Rova, and to 10, where to go after 124th. But his far is that it is going to be, he's saying that since they're close together, yes, it's close enough that Shemim Sarf. And I guess it makes sense, according to what you say, the Kilayim is Al Samaris Ayin. They're close enough that one cannot distinguish and between the 9 and the 10, and therefore it looks like something which is significant and has to be eliminated. The Rabbi Avin, Rabbi Chanina, Tarvai, I mean, Achalekas Beinehem. He holds. They hold that no, 9 and 3 don't join to make the aser, since they're distant from each other in their measure, even though they're both aser in a rova, but from 3 until a sa'ah, and from sa'ah, in other words, 3 to 6, and from sa'ah until 9, mitztarif. And that's what it means, that's a great divide. The sa'ah itself is mitztarif ben lamata, with the min which requires 3 kavin, and with the min which requires 9 kavin for a base sa'ah. And now Umar is going to explain that. But the sa'ah is the dividing line. So that's what Umar says. Sachalekes b'nei v'rova sa'ah also b'shloshas kabin. The rova of a min which requires a sa'ah joins together with a min which requires pikav to asa with a rova in the measure of a rova. Rova sa'ah also b'shloshas kabin. Rova shloshas kabin also b'sa'ah. Right, it goes to they both mutual go in both directions, and Rova saw also b'tisha kabin, 6 and 9 go together. Rova tisha's kabin also misah, and 9 and 6 go together. Again, they're close enough that they are going to all be inspired for the shear of Rova. It's a very big chiddush. If it's something which is you need 3 kav per sa'ah versus something which requires 9 kav for a sa'ah and sa'ah in the middle, right? So then you go after the 6 and the 9 join together, the 3 and the 6 join together to make up the shear of Rova. The 3 and the 9 don't join together. In the article, there's a header here. Habishim betua mitzvah is chule, but in the Vilna there's not. But be as in May. Now we're actually telling you what in Pishton, what's considered to be at the aser. In other words, what's the ratio? So shloshes revoim shall Pishton osim b'sah. So it's 3 revoim as opposed to 1 rova. So evidently it takes 3 times as much seeds of Pishton to plant. This is because 3 times 3 rovas is 1/24 of the amount of seeds of pishton which you require. Hechavita, how's it go? Asar dezor rova dechitin, a place where you plant a rova dechitin. Zar tzlas a rova in the chiton. You have to plant 3 times as much of the flax in order to populate that area. So therefore, the shear shear for a pishton getting mixed up in grain is going to be not a rova based saw, but 1/24 of what it requires for popular Beisah, which is 3 revoyim of Pishton seed. And that brings us to the Mishnah on Daf Yud Gimel Yud Aleph.